Hi guys, welcome to The House in Fata Morgana, a Requiem for Innocence, and today we're going to be discussing the Interlude. So this was actually a pretty unusual story that I wasn't really expecting. It was in between chapter 1 and chapter 2, and we just seen that really unusual twist with Jedan's personality, obviously, before Jacopo beheads Barnia, and just seeing how fucking mad Barnia is to kill Jedan, even though they had such a connection. But yeah, just also seeing the personality twist that makes sense in a way, but it's also something that you could never have expected at all. And it is quite cool what this interlude does, because a lot of the moments with Jedan, it really makes you reconsider them and reinterpret them, which is always a good sign. So yeah, let's get into it. So we've got the interlude firstly, and yeah, in the interlude, as you can see from the three little stories here, apart from not the stories where Jedan and Barney are talking, but these three, you see us having the role of people that are talking to, well, the people that have experienced how odd Jedan is. Like, for example, we're the friend of well, the really disgusting thieves here, and we're the detective inspector here. Actually, I'll take that back. I can't quite remember what we were here, but yeah, this was the story with the prostitutes, and obviously this was what led to Jedan meeting Lord Barnia. But yeah, my god, what I really love about these stories, especially the first two, is just what they tell you about society at the time. Obviously, you get quite a lot of development on Jedan, but I also just love, I just love how much you can learn, really, and how there are so many things that are just so cruel that are so normal. And I think it was really good in this example as well. I remember that the part where the wife really realised that Jedan was unusual, when they tried to make an example of that slave who left, just so that there would be no other people who would leave like that slave did. And yeah, it was literal torture. And then this wife has the nerve to say, oh yes, we treat our slaves well. But that's my point. In these times, they were so sick that something like that would have actually probably been true. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, this is a very different world to ours, and I just like that that's really emphasised. I think they did a good job doing that. But anyway, now let's actually talk about Jedan, because her character development, if I'm going to be honest, I think it's really misunderstood. So, obviously, firstly here, we see, well, they murder her parents, and then she doesn't even have any reaction. And obviously people are scared of her. They really are. And especially that scene with where we actually realise why she's talking really unusually. It's because of that. I think his name is Marcos. Yeah, Jedan talking to him, and then my god, just seeing that scene where he's killed, it's really quite something. Just the fact that she doesn't even say anything. And yeah, it's just the most unusual story, and in this part you just can't make sense of her character because you just don't know what the hell is going on. You really don't. You just don't know how. I mean, for example, even at the beginning of the story, how something like that could have been caused. And I do like the really cozy music in this chapter. I think this background is definitely my favourite out of the three, and then you just see the cozy music as well, even though the story is very sick. It does definitely fit with the background. No, they did a really good job on all of these backgrounds, especially these two. I like this one. Yeah, this one just so looks like something that would be in a really old time, which is really good. And yeah, god, this story as well, when I was saying about everything showing what's happening in society around them, the bullying of Marcos as well, I think that was really quite significant, because it just shows that yeah, it just shows how normal things like that would be at times like these. And ironically, he was bullying Well, actually, he was a little bit weird. I can't tell if he was developing love interest to Jedan. That would be a bit weird. I think he's more just a reasonable human being, and I don't really think any of the other people there actually considered that. But yeah, he was beaten up very, very badly, and it was really quite unpleasant. But then obviously we have the slave scene as well, just Jedan being the perfect slave and being the person who never has any negative emotions. Never. And she never fails to do her work, I suppose. And then obviously, there was one less slave missing, obviously. Yeah, she goes and then she becomes a prostitute because, yeah, I suppose she had nothing else she could do. And, yeah. I think this part here was good because it not only showed how Jedan left and obviously why she met someone as sick as Lord Barnier, but it was nice just getting an alternative layer of perspective for how sick Barnier is, and yeah, I mean, makes you dread chapter 2 even more. I mean, just what could happen to Jakob or you? I just can't help but ask. I mean, obviously, we have a bit of an idea of what happens to him from the originals, chapter 8, but yeah, if being a lord makes somebody so insane that they would do what... Well, they would force what... Sorry, let me just make that sentence up again. If they become so insane that they derive enjoyment from... Well, basically making these people see really traumatic sights. If it ruins a person so much that something like that would want to happen, just what is going to happen to Jacobo? That's my question. But, yeah. And isn't it ironic? They always did it for the money. But then, obviously, Barnier had enough, and then everything became completely destroyed because... I think it was because he was actually torturing these people when he sent them, and then I think then the main manager of the prostitute's place, obviously he was killed, and then obviously Jedan just completely watched innocently. I mean, my god, there was just her lack of understanding of human life that was really, really emphasised there. Fucking hell. And yeah, then everything completely collapsed because of Barnier, just one of the many things that have been ruined as a result of him. And then we actually see Jedan and Barnier's relationship developing, which is really quite unusual. And I like that you firstly just see Jedan because obviously, well, she's just finding Barnier special because of the fact that he's one of the only people that actually accepts her, and because all of the other people, I mean, she probably doesn't even remember her parents much, but like for example, the thieves and also the slaves just constantly telling her how she should be, and Barnier contrasting all of that is actually accepting of her. And I mean, if I'm going to be honest, it's really weird because, yeah, sure, Barnier accepts her, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing because the only reason that Barnier did actually accept Jedan was just because, well, he thought she was equally as mad as him. And obviously, he was one of the people that... Sorry, she was one of the people that did not fear him as well, just because she had such an absence of negative emotions, really. Barnier's backstory as well, that was something that was really good. And if I'm going to be honest, I think placing that right before Chapter 2 was a really good move, because we see Jacopo and just his... Okay, here's a Chapter 2 spoiler, because I have actually read a bit of Chapter 2, but you just see his total trauma when, after Gratian betrays him, and you see Barnier's head, and him just totally being haunted by it, thinking that that could be him. And, yeah, it's just... I think a scene like that, after you know that Barnier was a kind of normal person before he became a lord, and then seeing a scene like that, I mean, it just really gives more impact So, yeah, basically, giving context for Barnier was a really good move. And it's just insane how everything played out with him, because I suppose at first he was just trying to rule, but then obviously everybody started. Well, it was what he was saying about not being able to have anybody to trust, and obviously murdering his entire family as a result of it. And then him just becoming increasingly disturbed with responsibility, and then wanting to torture people. I mean, I think he did that because he was so stressed and so unstable that he didn't really want to see. Well, he just enjoyed seeing other people like that as opposed to himself. I mean, it's really horrible what he has done, and it's just interesting as well how aware he is. The fact that he has totally declined and that he is fucking mad, and he never stops. He never stops. I mean, just look at what he did to Morgana. I mean, I don't think anything else can prove that point more than that. Yeah, and it is funny just seeing how Barnier and Jedan, they do actually get along. I mean, no matter what Barnier has done, Jedan just doesn't have the ability to really care, and she's always had this theme of just not really being able to realise the value of human life. And like Barnier said, I think that she would be a really... Well, if she was a murderer, she would be a really good one with her mindset. I mean, she would be. And then obviously you see another part of Barnier's job. You see Jedan, and then you think, oh, there could be a benefit in her. I could use her. So even though Barnier is so close to this person, probably closer than he's been to anybody for years, he still tries to use her for obviously becoming a mole. Jedan not knowing what a mole was as well, because she thought that Barnier was referring to a literal mole, whereas in reality it was a spy. But yeah, Jedan was totally used by Barnier, and that's the thing about his job. I'd assume it's just, you see somebody with potential, it doesn't matter how close they are, you must get everything you can out of them, and that's why it's probably so difficult to be in a position like that. But then we see the end. And do you remember what I said at the beginning of the video, why Jedan could possibly be misunderstood? I think that because of this scene, because we see her getting genuinely scared at the revolution, and Barnier obviously forcing Jedan to stay there. Yet at the same time, she gets scared. She actually feels fear for the first time. I just think she just didn't have an ability to get attached to anyone before. But Barnier was so powerful in actually making her able to be attached to somebody that her emotions have changed. And I think Jedan is like every single human being in that sense, that we form attachments and then obviously we have grief if they go. But the only thing is, obviously, it just takes her a lot more to form an attachment than it would for a normal person. So I think Jedan is obviously unusually odd, but at the same time, I think it can kind of be explained. Kind of. I mean, she's seen so many people dead at such a young age, and yet she's not traumatized. I just don't get that. So she is a very extreme character and she's unusual, but there is some sort of indication in this last scene that she's kind of similar to a normal human being. And then obviously we see Barnier. It was just so funny, that line. I may not love you, but yeah, I think I am the top, but you're number 2. I mean, just tell her you love her. Anyway, yeah, that was kind of all I wanted to mention with the interlude. I'm reading chapter 2 now, and it's really quite good. I am excited to see the decline, and I'm dreading it obviously, but yeah. It's just really, really cool, this story, because you just see little pieces of a puzzle that lead to an outcome that you know. which is the decline of Jakobot and obviously the death of Morgana. And you just see how important something like this is for the entire story. But you just see an event you know the outcome of, and you just, like, you know the end result, but the fun is seeing everything before the end result and seeing how the end result happens. That's kind of why, in some cases, now this doesn't apply to all of them, but in some cases, when I accidentally get a spoiler for a visual novel, I don't necessarily think it's that bad, because you may have seen that something happens, but you kind of have so much excitement still left because you don't know how that said thing happens. But at the same time, obviously, if it's a really bad spoiler, that doesn't apply. But if it's a smaller spoiler, sure, I'll think like that. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you were excited for my part 2 discussion. I'll probably be a fucking changed person. But like by the end of that, I probably will be. Anyway, see you guys.